Thank you, Abraham. Thank you for calling on me. I'm going to try not to cry because I feel pretty emotional right now. I wanted to speak to you up here many times, but I think my mind got too cluttered and I couldn't come up. But today I first want to thank you for guiding me in my life and helping me to understand how to get to the place that you're talking about, of peace and happiness and joy.
Of connection to someone really interested in what you're interested in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and it feels wonderful.
Yeah.
And I have been able, through my process, to be of help and service to others, and that's my purpose in my life now, is to share and to be as much of service as I can in my joy.
Well, you know what we have in common? All we can do is help them to get ready to be ready.
Yes.
Because so many teachers get over here and all of this stuff, and it's entertaining, but not much more.
Yes, yes. I have a very strong desire to uplift not only myself but others, but I do have to start with myself first.
Well, it really goes together, doesn't it?
Yes.
If step one is you decide what you want, and through life some of what you want is to be of value to others, then that certainly is something that's in your vortex. But as you just said to us, you got to find some way of being steadily in that receiving mode. And here's the thing, you know, this is going to tie in so nicely with what we were just telling you, because you're getting ready to be ready to be ready to be ready to be ready. So let's say that you've been in the receiving mode often, and you get to that detached place easily, and thoughts begin flowing, and now you're moving around out in the day, and you're inspired to go over there and 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 go over there, and then you get this inspiration. And so source energy can inspire you, which means just talk to you and you hear it, can inspire you to be in the right place to be of value to someone else. So you're in the receiving mode and they're in the receiving mode, but you're being inspired to be in the giving mode while they're inspired to be in the taking mode, but everybody's in the receiving mode. And that's what makes the world go round. That interesting? Esther has a new van that she bought almost a year ago. It's new, but she bought it a year ago, but she hasn't been driving it much. And it's parked, and she likes to take it out for day trip and such. It's small enough that she can handle it easily, but hasn't taken it out much. And a few weeks ago, a very nice man who drove her from the airport said to her, if you would like me to take your van to our facility, because we also have these Sprinter vans, I'll wash it for you and bring it back. And Esther said, that's the nicest offer anyone's ever made. So she gave him the keys and off he went. And he came back. The van was beautiful. He'd aired the tires up. He put fuel in it. He even vacuumed it. In other words, it was such a nice surprise, all of the lovely things that he did with the van. And then Esther was busy. Her family was visiting and having a good time, and Esther forgot to plug the van back in. Now, it has a refrigerator and a microwave. It has appliances in it, and she didn't plug it back in, and it wanted to be plugged back in, and so everything drained from it. Well, when everything drains from it, then it won't start. And when she tries to plug it back in, the charging system won't work either, because there needs to be something going on in the spark of the engine in order to let the electricity, she's learned all of this just this week, flow through it. So she got it all plugged in and all going, and now she's going to fill up the propane tank, and off she went and learned more about the van on that day. And then she and a friend went to the beach. First time she's been at the beach in a really long time, and it's the whole reason that she even bought the van. So her satisfaction factor was off the charts. A beautiful day, the surf is high, found a parking place easily, sitting there, and her friend noticed this beautiful little black car that Esther didn't know what it was. It's a new make and model of a Volkswagen. And her friend is commenting on how really lovely it is, so they were focused upon it. And as they were enjoying their looking at the ocean and their eating of their burrito, the little girl that was with the young man knocked on the window and said, do you have any jumper cables? And Esther doesn't know if she has any jumper cables. There's a high probability that she has jumper cables, but she didn't want to admit that she doesn't have any idea where they might be. So she said, I don't think that I do, but do you have AAA? And they said, no. And Esther said, I do. Let me call. So Esther called AAA, and AAA came and jumped their battery. And Esther thought, now, such satisfaction in being at the right place at the right time. Who do you think on the planet had more stuff going on about battery than Esther? Battery, 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 battery. Esther had been reading the manual and calling the people who built it and learning about battery, 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 battery. She knows where her batteries are. She got new batteries. She loves the idea of batteries, 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 batteries. Broadcasting batteries, 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 batteries. And so isn't it logical that in her state of complete alignment that she would be inspired to stop right here and wait for a parking place here? And sure enough, somebody's backing right out and she backs right in, right next to somebody that could use battery, 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 battery assistance. You've been arguing over, is it better to give than to receive? It's better to give than to receive. And little kids think, oh, that's screwy. That can't be right. That can't be right. But we want you to understand that when you're in alignment, you're doing both. When you're in alignment, then you're inspired to be the cooperative component, and nothing less than being a cooperative component will ever be enough for you. You must be the cooperative component to your own alignment. And so often when people talk about, you use the word too, being of service, we think that's a different approach to it than we would take. Instead of using the word service, we would use the word alignment, and we would use inspired action. Alignment, which leads to, which leads to, which leads to, which leads to, because the service is the action part. The service is the action part. But so many people jump all the way over to the action part of service, and then in a little while they start feeling resentful of all of the people that could use their service, or of all of the people who aren't ready for their service. It's like pushing a noodle. You know so much how to help those people. You do. Most of them are in your family. You know that. You know so much how to help them, but they're not in the receiving mode. You're in the giving mode, but they're not in the receiving mode. And if they're not in the receiving mode, then you're not really in the receiving mode, because if you were really in the receiving mode, you would not try to give to those who are not in the receiving mode. Hey, we just solved a lot of problems for a lot of you. There are people in the demanding mode. There are people in the victim mode. There are people in the vulnerable mode. There are people in the needy mode. There are all kinds of people in all kinds of modes. But when they're there, they're offering a vibration of resistance, and they just can't let in. It doesn't matter how much good you flow their way. They'll squander it. They'll lose it. They'll forget about it. It will bounce off of them, and they still stand in complaint, because there's not enough action in the world to compensate for a vibration that isn't letting something in. We are so happy to talk with you about the service that you want to give. And we are so happy that you understand what being in alignment is. This is a kind of crude analogy, but it'll get your attention. It's like lying on the operating table with a leg that needs to be amputated, and the doctor chops off the wrong leg. Got your attention, didn't it? A lot of times, if you're not in the receiving mode, then you're well-meaning, but you don't help. So we don't want to set you off of what you wanted to talk about. But this is everything that we wanted to say specifically to you.
Thank you.
About what you are about.
Thank you.
Did we get enough?
Yes.